For more on China's international relations, I'm joined now by Sourabh Gupta. He's a senior Asia-Pacific International Relations Policy Specialist at the Institute for China-America Studies. Great to have you on the program. Now, tell us more about this new chapter between Honduras and China.
I think Honduras, as a small country, as a poor country, which needs investment and looks for big markets overseas to export its goods, this is just a tremendous opportunity. There is a certain inevitability about it. One has to remember, in the 1950s, the strongest supporters of Taiwan, what was then the Republic of China, and held the seat at the UN, were actually the Central American countries. Every one of them stood up behind the United States at the San Francisco conference and said, there is only one China, and that is the Republic of China in Taiwan. And today that has completely shifted. The ground has completely shifted. Countries which are so close to the United States geographically and in many other respects see the importance of an inevitable relationship with a country which is $20 trillion in economic size and almost 20 times the size of the Taiwanese economy.
So regardless of the issue of Taiwan, what was the economic and diplomatic relationship between the two countries beforehand? And now that they're formal allies, how will that impact not just trade, but also just broader, diplomacy and economy? How will they relate to each other?
I think they will relate to in a much more engaged fashion. We will see Chinese aid contracts and investment in Honduras. That was not really as much the case before. It was they were dependent on the Taiwanese for all their aid money and to make investments in infrastructure, in schools and hospitals. We'll see China stepping in out here. China obviously has a very serious track record in these areas as part of its Belt and Road Initiative. And I'm hoping down the line that the Central Asian countries can band together and China can have a free trade agreement with these, just like the US has with what is called DR-CAFTA, Dominican Republic and Central American Free Trade Agreement, that China can be a final consumer for many of the goods that they produce. And these countries, as we know, are suffering from inequality, there are migration issues, there's poverty, and I think this will be a stabilizing influence.
Now, what about the effects it could have on the broader region, Latin America in particular? Do you foresee any potential challenges in this new relationship?
Not particularly. I mean, at some levels, they have to balance their relationship with the US. The US has had harsh things to say about countries which have shifted their allegiance to Beijing, but has not really punished them in Central America. As I said, some of America's most loyalist Taiwanese supporters were El Salvador and Costa Rica, and they have moved, and I think the ground has shifted. And so I don't see politically a real shift or a change out here. And it's not that China is going to use Central America as a base for subversion of the United States per se. We're thinking back to the latter period of the Cold War and Nicaragua being used, the Contra rebels, et cetera, et cetera. It's not happening. China is out there to develop and have win-win relationships, primarily economic relationships, but solidify political ties too. And I think this is going to be win-win for all. And I don't think the United States needs to or should be coming down hard in this regard.
All right, Sourabh Gupta, thanks very much for your time.
You're welcome.